Fontaine was released just a couple of days ago, and with it came many new mechanics. So I made a tier list of all the mechanics in Fontaine because lists are fun. So let's go! So the first and the foremost one is the diving mechanic. Obviously this is an easy S tier. It's a cool mechanic and now you don't really have to worry about drowning. That makes life so much easier. But at first you can't really figure out how the fuck you are supposed to do this. But you figure it out in a little bit. Controls are easy enough to understand. And the whole underwater area is super beautiful and fun to dive around in and just swim around in. And also the fact that like there's no limit to how long you can stay underwater. That is nice. I swear, if they added a timer or something to how long we can swim, I would be mad as fuck. But that's not the case. We don't have a timer and we can stay for as long as we want. Cool. Now going under the water comes with its own set of fighting mechanics. Cause what's the point of going underwater if there's nothing to do there? And the basic attack actually allows you to take the abilities of the underwater creatures. So that means there's gonna be a mini tier list inside of this big tier list. But first let's just rate the basic attack. The basic attack is obviously also S tier. It does 2k damage and it almost has like no cooldown at all. And you can also aim holding the basic attack button underwater, so that's cool. You can see why this gets S tier. The shockwave thingy, absolute garbage. It does 0 damage. It's not really 0, but it's very less. Like none at all. If you want to kill something, just like do the basic attack at this point. It's just like a 2k damage and like a short cooldown. Like by the time the shockwave reaches the enemy has already moved like across the country and had an entire family. Like this thing is slower than your grandma climbing up the fucking stairs. But we actually need to use the shockwave to solve puzzles, the resonance puzzles. And you can hold to release multiple shockwaves, but they are not gonna be any faster. This thing gets like an E minus or an E if I am being generous. 0 use case scenarios outside of solving puzzles. Next one is the slash thingy. Get this from like the stingrays. Now this thing can do a shit ton of damage and has a short cooldown with a shit ton of damage and 2 charges. This thing also gives you the option to aim and fire. This thing is much quicker than the shock waves and can be used to defeat big and small enemies easily. It also gives you a decent amount of mobility because you don't really have to stand in a place for a long time. This thing deserves a solid A+. It is very simple, quick and easy to use. Now for the last ability, we call this one the Mr. Bubble. This ability has 2 parts, a shockwave and a shield. This one has a lot of diverse uses. Look at it from a fighting standpoint first. This skill releases a shockwave that can be aimed as well if you want accuracy. It also has like a cool thing where if you release the shockwave after you are hit in the aimed mode, you can actually do a little bit more damage. So that's pretty cool. And as I said, you also get a shield with this skill. As soon as you release the shockwave from the aimed mode or the not aimed mode, doesn't really matter. You will get a shield as soon as the shockwave has been released. As I said, this thing has a lot of other uses as well, so let me tell you about it from the other perspectives. From an exploration perspective, you can actually destroy the stones underwater and you can also collect crystals. You can kind of call it like the underwater Zhongli skill. Like how Zhongli releases a shockwave and he gives you a shield. You hold his skill. It also blocks out the current from like the water vents. This thing has a good amount of utility, so I'll place it in the tier A++. It's cool, it's useful and effective. It does everything that it says on the package. It's got a big cooldown though, like really big. That's it for the fighting mechanics. We are not doing that anymore. Let's go and rate something else now. These hula hoops. They allow you to go fast and they're fun to go through. That is pretty dope. It can be a little annoying if you cannot see the next hoop. You'll just lose all the speed and the fun just goes out of it. Also, if you're like me and you have like a weaker phone, this can cause lag. I'll give this one a B+. It's good. It's not the best. And now for these fish. Easiest here, no doubt in my mind. Like I can't count the number of times that I was fighting, I got hit and I was on like 2 HP and was just about to die. And these guys saved me. Thank the fucking lords that these things exist. Because I would go crazy trying to like win a fight underwater without these guys. Like bro, these fishes are stronger than the actual Archons themselves. I fucking love these fishes. I guess that's it. Hey, that's the tier list, boys.